Welcome to Dolfan Radio, podcast of Miami Dolphin fans. And now for your host, Brad Michaels.
All right, welcome to Dolfan Radio. It is Wednesday, July 14th, and before we get started too much on the show this evening, I do want to bring an update here on Surfside, the tragedy in Surfside. We just got some sad news today. Then we've all known that this was going to happen. Just a few hours ago, it was updated to 97 is the death toll at this point. Of those 97 victims so far, 90 have been identified, and the next of kin have been notified for 88. And 8 now remain potentially unaccounted for. So I think we're updating that as much as we can on the bottom ticker with a shout out, actually, or in memory of the victims. But I also want to make sure that everybody understands, if you'd like to help out, if you would like to help out the families with any cash or anything, please go to supportsurfside.org. Again, that website is supportsurfside.org, and you can make a donation there. You can also give them a call at 833-930-3701. All right, let's get on with the show. We've got a caller waiting online for us. Let's go to our caller. Well, you're live on Dolfan Radio.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for giving us a call. What's on your mind?
Here's my question. Do you think the Dolphins could take a step back due to the toughness of their schedule or overachieving last year?
That's a great question, and it's probably a question that a lot of fans actually are thinking about. And it's sure enough, the Dolphins did a lot. In a lot of people's opinion, they probably did overachieve a lot last year, but they also overachieved in their first year because we didn't think they were going to win a single game in Brian Flores' first year. I think, though, that with Brian Flores and Chris Grier, I think they really have a really good handle on what they're doing with this roster. And we got a lot of young players that are looking to that coaching staff for the direction. And so I don't see that happening. I mean, it certainly could. Anything can happen. It is the National Football League. But I think with this coaching staff and these players, I really think we're going to see them improve even more. And I'm not saying that they could necessarily improve on their win total from next year, although I think that that's a good possibility as well. But I think even if they only won 10 games again, I think you're going to see a big improvement of this team overall. It's just the National Football League is tough in general. And so I don't think they're going to take a step back in the amount of wins, but I don't know if they would actually take a step forward and get 11 to 12 wins. But I don't really see that being a problem. I think that we're going to see a good competitive team, and I think we're going to see a good playoff run, and I think we'll actually make the playoffs this year.
Cool. That's what we want to hear.
All right. Well, thanks for calling Dolfan Radio. We hope to hear from you again.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. All right. And to follow up with that just a little bit, I do feel that the Dolphins are going to be significantly better as a team in general this year. I think you're going to see a lot less mental mistakes. But you got to remember, we've got a lot of young players on this team. We've got, our young top draft pick in Jalen Waddle. He's going to be reunited with his college quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, but he is still going to be a rookie. And in all essence, I think Tua is still a rookie, even though this is his second year. He's got a little bit of playing time, but you got to remember, this is a kid because of COVID, didn't get in any OTAs last year, had limited training camp time, and really didn't know the playbook as well last year as he's going to know it this year. So, in a sense, Tua's getting a do-over on his rookie season, in my opinion. But I think he's going to be a lot better, and I think he's going to like having the weapons that he's got in Will Fuller. We put out some questions over the week. We wanted people on Facebook and elsewhere to come in with any questions that they had. We got this from Kipper Doug, who's an admin for Real Dolphins Fans Only. He said, do you see the Dolphins making any big trades between now and the start of the season? Doug, anything can happen, but what we found with this regime, again, is anything can happen with them as well. But I don't think that they're going to make any big trades unless they have a need. And that need could arise from the Xavier Howard holdout. It could arise from injuries during training camp. There's anything that could happen. And you never know. There's another team that may have a need arise on their side with their roster, and they call the Dolphins and say, hey, look, we want so-and-so. Are you interested in working out a deal? So I'm not going to say no, but I am going to say that the Dolphins are certainly not going to do it from a standpoint of just making some sort of big splashy move just to make headlines and appease the fan base. This regime has shown a lot of discipline in sticking with the plan, which is building through the draft and getting strong with younger players and making sure that that roster is extremely young. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think now we've only got 1 or 2 players age 30 or older. All of the rest of our players are really, really young. They're second and third year guys. So we're sticking with that plan. So I just don't see that happening. But again, anything can happen. Matt R. asked, did the Dolphins upgrade in the draft? Great question, Matt. And here's my take on the draft. I think anytime you have a draft, if you have a top 10 pick, you can't not upgrade your team. And when we see the Dolphins taking Jalen Waddle, there was a reason why Miami felt comfortable enough in moving out of the 3rd slot originally down to number 12, and then they moved back up to 6. I think that they wanted to gain that draft capital that they got in the first move, and then moving up, they felt like at number 6, they could get the guy that they wanted. Now, I know that myself included and a lot of pundits out there and a lot of the fans probably wanted them to take Devontae Smith, wanted them to take Kyle Pitts if he was available. Of course, he wasn't available. So it gets to us. We've got Devontae Smith is still on the board, and the Dolphins pulled the trigger with Jalen Waddle. Obviously, Waddle was a guy, the type of player that they thought was going to fit into the system that they're using in Miami. He fits in with the coaching staff. The coaching staff felt that with his speed and his skill sets, he was going to fit into the program that they're implementing and the style of play they're implementing down there in Miami. So I think that is a fabulous pickup. Everybody has said that Waddle's speed, once he hits the field, you don't realize how fast this guy is. But he's 5'10", 182 pounds, and he's a flyer. So he's going to be able to stretch the field. You've got Will Fuller coming in free agency. He's going to be able to stretch the field. So that those two complement each other. And then you throw Preston Williams in the mix. If he's healthy, throw in Devontae Parker if he's healthy, and a couple other guys into the mix that could make this team. And when you want to talk about overall draft and did we upgrade, you got to go to pick 18. Now, I was obviously, from people that have talked to me in the past or heard me speaking about this, I was obviously a little disappointed that we didn't go running back at number 18. We had 2 picks in the first round, 6 and 18. I really felt that I would have, had it been me, I probably would have taken a Travis Etienne at the 18 spot, because I think that you could pick up, I think that the linebackers and the defensive ends, the guys that were going to be edge rushers, I thought that was a little bit deeper, and I thought we could probably pick up one of those guys in the second round with our pick at number 36. But instead, the Dolphins decided to go with Jalen Phillips. He's a linebacker out of Miami. He's 6'5", 266 pounds. He is going to play edge. So, again, edge was definitely a team need, as was, in my opinion, running back. They decided to address the edge position, and I think that they got the guy that they wanted. I don't question very much with this front office and this coaching staff. I think Brian Flores came in. He was picked to be the head coach because he fit the type of team that Chris Greer had sold to our owner, Stephen Ross. Greer told Ross, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a plan, and we're going to stick with it. And that plan is we're going to get rid of all these overpriced free agents. We're going to get rid of all these older guys. We're going to make our roster really young, and we're going to build through the draft. And it's going to be a bumpy couple of years. Heck, I mean, we were all bracing ourselves to go 0-16 in 2019. We win 5 games. Talk about overachievement. We never expected that, and then we doubled that win total in 2020, and we go 10-6, and we just barely missed out on the playoffs. We had a shot at it there in the last weekend, and we just didn't do our jobs. So I think with that pain that comes from that, having missed the playoffs, having been that close in your second year as a coach, and in your second year with this coach, or if you were a rookie your first year with this coach, but having seen what he did this previous year, I think there's a lot of upside for the Dolphins. You go into round 2, they picked up safety Javon Holland out of Oregon. Pick 10 in round 2, it was our 42nd pick. We pick up with the 42nd pick in the entire draft. We pick up Liam Eichenberg. He's a tackle out of Notre Dame. That helps solidify that offensive line, which we all know still has a little bit of work to do. This kid is 6'5". He's 310 pounds. He's going to move people when they snap the ball. And he's going to be able to protect the quarterback as well. He is a tackle, so that's good for us. The one thing that I'm kind of wondering in round 3 with pick 18, 81st overall, is we take a tight end out of Boston College. 6'5", 253-pound Hunter Long. I gotta wonder why we're taking a tight end at number in the 3rd round when we have Mike Gesicki, who is coming along. We got Durham Smith. We had a pretty good-sized tight end room, and I'm hearing some rumblings that the Dolphins might not be completely sold on Mike Gesicki. And so instead of paying him at the end of this year, they may be willing to let him go if they found what they think is a gem in Hunter Long. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We didn't really pick anything after that until we got into round 7. We get Larnell Coleman, a tackle out of UMass Amherst. And then with the 244th pick, we take Jared Dokes. He's a running back out of Cincinnati. And I've addressed that once before, that I said we didn't really address the running back position. And we did. We just didn't address it to the way that I thought we would address it, in the kind of the way that I probably wanted it to be addressed. But again, I have to trust the brain trust that we have in Miami. They have shown that they are willing to stick with their plan. And their plan is to build through the draft and make this team a lot younger. So here's something funny that happened. We're going to go into another segment here. This was, I don't even know where this post originally started, but it came out on Facebook, and it's made its rounds now out on Twitter, and I'm sure it's on Instagram as well, because I know I posted it on Instagram. Somebody listed out, made a list of the top 5 head coaches in Dolphins history. Well, the Dolphins have only had 10 head coaches. Brian Flores is number 10. That's if you don't count interim head coaches like Jim Bates, Todd Bowles, and Dan Campbell. And nothing against those guys, but I'm not going to count interim head coaches, because we all know that interim guys usually don't get the job and carry on with the team. So we've had 10 head coaches in Miami Dolphins history. George Wilson was the first guy that started out, and of course, you know, when you're starting out as an expansion team or a brand new team in a league, you're going to have some rough spots, and he did. He had a 286 win percentage, so you're not even going to put him in the mix. But the next guy that came in was a guy by the name of Don Shula, and Don Shula set every record for head coaching. He beat George Halas for the number of wins. He still holds that record. I'm hoping that he continues or maintains that, and Belichick either retires or New England falls on some bad times and Belichick doesn't reach that milestone. So Don Shula obviously is number one in my book. He's number one in anyone's book, especially if you're a Dolphin fan. I mean, when the guy was our coach for 26 years. In that 26-year period of time, 2 Super Bowl championships, Super Bowl 7, Super Bowl 8. Of course, we went undefeated, Super Bowl 7, 17-0, 1972 season. But check this out. He's played in 5. He took the team to 5 AFC championships, 71, 72, 73, 3 straight, then 82 and 84. 11 times AFC East champions, 71, 72, 73, 74, 79, 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85. And 19 playoff berths in 26 seasons. And he was the coach of the year in 1970 and 1972. So obviously, Shula is number one by far. The list gets interesting at this point because they put Jimmy Johnson at number 2, followed by Dave Wanstead, then Tony Sperano, and then Adam Gase. Okay. That makes me laugh. I'm not going to, I would be willing to say that I don't even think you can, I don't know how you rate these guys. If it were me, I would definitely take, Adam Gase is not in the top 5. He's in the bottom 5. And if it wasn't for people like Cam Cameron, which I would rank probably even worse than George Wilson, I'd have to put Adam Gase down there at probably number 8. And just for some of the stuff that he did to this team, I would have to say he did not help us in any sense of the, and his sideline demeanor and the way that he treated the players and the way that he acted towards our owner even, just puts Adam Gase, I don't even put him in this equation. Tony Sparano, I'm going to be honest with you here on this one. Jimmy Johnson came in, everybody wants to say he's number 2, and then Dave Wannstedt number 3. Okay, Jimmy Johnson, he comes in after Shula is forced into retirement, basically. He's not, he doesn't have his head in the game. He's just been freshly married. He wants to spend his life down in the Florida Keys with his wife. He doesn't want to be coaching football. So he decides that he's going to leave. He gets talked into staying. Dan Marino actually goes in and said, hey, Coach, I think we're really close. Would you mind just come back one more season? Let's see if we can win a Super Bowl together. He does that under one caveat, that he's going to bring in his buddy, Dave Wannstedt, who is now the former head coach of the Chicago Bears. He's going to make Dave the assistant head coach, and everybody knows that means he's the head coach in waiting, and Johnson's not going to be around much longer. And sure enough, Johnson does one more season. We get bounced out of the playoffs real quick by Jacksonville. I believe that was 62-7 or 62-14. I don't even remember that game. All I remember is we gave up 62 points, and it wasn't even that close. So I can't really even, I don't know how to rank Jimmy Johnson. I definitely don't think I would rank him second, and I don't think I would rank Dave Wannstedt at third. I think I would drop both of those guys down 2 notches, put Johnson at 3, probably put Wannstedt I'm going to put Johnson at 4. I'll put Wannstedt at 5, and I know I'm going to get tore up on this one, but I am going to put Tony Sparano at number 2 right now, and I'm going to put Coach Flores at number 3. And the only reason I'm going to go ahead and put Sparano at number 2 for now, Sparano comes in the year after Cam Cameron goes 1-15. He's one and done. Sparano comes in and sets a record, still a record to this day, the biggest single season turnaround in wins. We go from 1 win to 11 under Sparano in his first season. That's an NFL record. I got to put Tony Sparano, rest in peace. I got to put it, a great guy too. It's so sad. He was such a great guy, and I feel like he got totally treated like, you know what, down in Miami. And I'm sorry, Mr. Ross, you and Jeff Ireland, I just didn't like the flight out to California when you're sitting there. You got Tony's, kind of twisting in the wind, doesn't know what's going to go on, and you're out trying to chase Jim Harbaugh and get him to come and coach your team. But I'll make Tony Sparano number 2. I'll make Coach Flores number 3 for right now, and I'll go with Jimmy Johnson at number 4 and Dave Wannstedt at number 5. And then right behind that, I'd have to put, I'm sorry folks, but I'm going to have to put old Nick Saban there at number 6. So I'm expanding that out, but that's how I see it. And if Brian Flores gets us to the playoffs this year, we go deep, or we end up and he sticks around and we win some championships with him, obviously he would jump up to number 2. But nobody's ever, in my opinion, going to unseat Don Shula at number 1. So that is a wrap for this week's program of Dolfan Radio. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come back to one other thing, because a lot of people have asked why we're not really having a whole lot of long shows right now, and there's really hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. The Dolphins were quiet for the most part in free agency. Will Fuller was probably the biggest splash we made. You might be able to throw Matt Sakura in there possibly, but that's the reason we like this regime. This regime is not going out there and making splashy free agency moves just to make headlines to appease the fan base. They have their plan. They're sticking to it. But I want to come back just a little bit now to Xavier Howard. That's the only thing that we've actually had to talk about pretty much all offseason, or at least since the draft, is what's going on with Xavier Howard. And I'm going to tell you this, my personal opinion, I understand where Howard is coming from. You paid him a lot of money, and then right after you gave him that money, you turn around and you give one of his teammates an even bigger check. And that teammate flops, and that's Byron Jones. He flops, doesn't have as good a season as you're expecting, and Xavier Howard leads the league in interceptions. Now he wants to get paid. I understand he signed a contract, but I understand Howard's point. I also understand the team's point. And so that's a delicate situation. I'm hoping it's one that the team and the player can work out. And if they can't, I'm hoping that we can figure out a way to solve that situation and get Howard where he wants to be with the money that he wants to be paid, and we get in a decent replacement player, and we can all just move on. So anyway, but that's the biggest reason why we really haven't had any really long shows. We're not doing anything right now that's live. We opened up the phone lines. We got one call, but we tell everybody, hey, we're going to be recording at such and such a time. Why don't you give us a call? We're going through a lot of testing right now with the studio. We're testing things out. We're testing camera angles. We're testing the lights, and these things are hot. And we're just trying to make sure that we can produce a good quality show, especially week one, because week one, before the opener in New England, we do plan on having a live show. That's to be our first live show other than on draft day, which was a complete fiasco. Other than the fact that we had John Bach was on with us on draft night. We thought he was going to be on with us up through the 10th pick, or possibly just through the Dolphins' first pick at number 6. And John stayed on there with us until we cut it off at the 20th pick. And we had a great time with John. And I'm going to be welcoming John tomorrow on our show. Hopefully, if we hook up, we've got it scheduled at this point, but John has agreed to come on and be the co-host here with Dolfan Radio. So that's going to be exciting. John is a great person to talk to, really nice guy, and he's lived life in the trenches in the National Football League. And for those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, living in the trenches, John was an offensive lineman. So we're excited here at Dolfan Radio to have John join us. That's today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening. This is Dolfan Radio.
Thanks for watching or listening. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And for more great content, check us out on the web at www.dolfanradio.com.